longest time, I've promised myself that I would record a little tutorial on how to brief a chart. Now, there exists no actual standard on how to brief an instrument approach procedure. Typically, what online ground schools or instructors will say is, go strategically, top to bottom, left to right. And even though that assures completing or reading the entirety of the chart, it does not necessarily help you in terms of understanding what the procedural aspects will be. So when I was up in the Midwest with Dr. Bill and Obi Wan, we spent some considerable amount of time understanding how charts are briefed and what is the best way to brief them. And so what I want to do with you is to show you how I would brief, in this case, the ILS to runway 10 into Savannah Hilton Head International Airport, KSAV. So I'm going to pull up the chart over here on Garmin Pilot. I'll always start by reading the header to make sure that I'm on the right chart. And then I'm going to go down procedurally and brief it all at once. As every approach procedure should begin, the frequency should already be tuned in, or if not, we should do so by virtue of briefing the chart. I'll assume for this case that we've already tuned all of the frequencies. Alright, here we go. This is the ILS, or localizer, runway 10 into Savannah Hilton Head International Airport, KSAV. The final approach course is 097 degrees, which makes sense since it's runway 10. We have plenty of runway distance, and airport elevation is 50 feet above sea level. The notes don't apply for us, only straight in localizer and not ILS, which is not the case for us. Okay, we will approach from the northeast with directing towards Tizi, at which point we will do a procedure turn that is a parallel entry, 277 degrees, then a right turn 140 degrees to intercept the final approach course. I'll be switching to green needles, so to localizer guidance at Tizi. That will be between 2,600 and 6,000 feet. I will then descend to 2,000, at which point I will intercept the glide slope. That it will be at Sovi, our final approach fix, and I'll descend to straight in ILS minimums, which are going to be 230 feet. That is 200 feet above the ground. I need 1,800 feet visibility for this approach. At 230 feet, that is the decision altitude. If I do not see the Mauser, the approach sliding system, I will need to go mist. The mist is climb to 800, then climbing left turn to 4,000, heading 330, and SAV Vortac radial 001. Two tails intersection at the Savannah 20 DME and hold. So I'll climb straight to 800, turn left, heading 330, intercept the radial, so I'll tune in my Savannah VOR on my secondary, and I'll proceed directly to tails. This will be a parallel entry also, 001 degrees, then it's going to be a left turn to 140 degrees, and intercept the hold. That'll be at 4,000 feet. If everything goes wrong, our minimum safe altitude for this procedure is within 300 miles is 2,600 feet. Any questions? So as I've mentioned, I do a lot of annotations on the chart, and I do encourage all of my students to annotate the charts. I use color coding. Anything in blue is procedural, meaning what do I need to do to execute the approach. And I always plan for success, so it assumes that everything is going fine. I will then highlight quick reminders, things that need to draw my attention, things like altitudes, frequencies, things of that nature. Then I will use red for any missed approach type annotations. So I will, for example, draw a box around the Savannah VOR to remind myself that that is the VOR needed to tune in order to execute the missed approach. I will then write down my headings, my altitudes, everything needed, so that whenever I need to go missed, my mind can focus only on everything in red, the missed approach, and execute as successfully and as efficiently as possible. Notice also that I don't spend much time on the plan view, because primarily as I'm flying the approach, I'll be looking at the profile view on the bottom. Alright, I will do one more. This will be the RNAV Zulu to runway 28, so opposite direction of the one that I just briefed. I'll brief it quickly. I'm not going to do any explanations whatsoever. I'll show you how I annotate it live. As simple as that. Heading into Savannah Hilton Head, and I'll assume this will be via vectors, which is very typical for us here at Savannah. Okay, this is the RNAV GPS Zulu, runway 28 into Savannah. I've got my WAS information. Final approach course is 277 degrees. Makes sense because it's runway 28. I've got more than enough landing distance for a Cherokee, and we're pretty much at sea level. We'll be flying LPV minimum, so no notes apply to us. Frequencies are all accounted for. Alrighty, so I'll be approaching from the north, and I've requested vectors, so I'll get vectors before Simbi final approach fix, probably at about 1,800, at which point at Simbi I will capture the glide slope, descend down to my LPV minimums, which in this case are 375 feet, there's a NOTAM for them. I need 1 mile visibility for this approach. If at that altitude I do not see anything, there's no ILS at this airport, or at this runway, I'll need to execute the miss, which is climb to 2,600, direct Tylee and hold. Okay, so that it's a straight climb up to Tylee, that is a 4 mile hold. It's going to be a direct entry on 277, then right turns 097, and it's going to be at 2,600 feet. If anything goes wrong, we don't have an MSA, but we've got the TAAs for this airport, and the most conservative TAA is 2,600 feet, just like the missed approach hold. So if anything goes wrong, we'll be going to that altitude. Any questions? There's no formal way of briefing a chart. This is how I personally like to brief it. This is how I learned with my mentors and my instructors at Garmin. And this is what I teach to my students. It's chronological, it's methodical, and it makes sense. So there's never a question of what am I doing next. Let me know if you like it. If you have any questions, please do make sure to let me know. Cheers.